Egypt, the land of the pharaohs, is a country with a rich and ancient history. From the pyramids of Giza to the Valley of the Kings, Egypt is home to some of the most iconic historical landmarks in the world. But Egypt is more than just a country of ancient history. It's also a modern country with a vibrant culture and diverse population. Grab a strong cup of traditional Egyptian coffee the way Egyptians usually do, or go for a refreshing hibiscus tea while we dive into the heart of Egypt and to know how life is here through the eyes of an Egyptian citizen. Let's start with the birth of a baby in Egypt. As soon as the baby is born, the call to prayer, Adhan, is whispered in its right ear, and the second call to prayer, Igama, is whispered in its left ear. This is a Muslim tradition that is believed to help the baby develop a strong faith. The baby's cheeks are rubbed with dates or honey shortly after birth. This is a tradition that is believed to help the baby grow up healthy and strong. This ceremony is called Tanik and is a very crucial ceremony done right after birth. The birth of the first son usually is a momentous event in Egypt, after which the father and mother are often called by the titles Abu and father and mother, followed by their son's name. For example, if the first son is named Ali, then the father will be called Abu Ali or father of Ali, and the mother Ali or mother of Ali. Families will also arrange for the slaughter of an animal, 2 for boys and 1 for girls, 1 week after the birth to mark the event. The baby's name is usually chosen by the parents and announced to the family and friends at a naming ceremony. This ceremony is often held within a few days of the birth. The mother is isolated for 40 days after giving birth. This is a traditional practice that is believed to help the mother recover from childbirth and to protect the baby from evil spirits. During this time, the mother is not allowed to leave the house or to have visitors. The baby is bathed in special water. This water is often made with herbs and spices that are believed to be beneficial for the baby's health. The baby is then given a special amulet. This amulet is believed to protect the baby from evil spirits. The baby is introduced to its extended family. This is usually done at a family gathering that is held within a few weeks of the birth. Sabu is a celebration that takes place 7 days after a baby is born. It is a time for the family and community to welcome the new baby and to wish them good health and happiness. The celebration typically includes food, music, and dancing. Toddlers in Egypt are typically raised in close-knit families and communities. They often live with their extended family, and they spend a lot of time playing with their cousins and other children in the neighborhood. Islam is the dominant religion in Egypt, and most babies are raised Muslim. They will learn about the basic tenets of Islam from a young age, and they may also attend religious classes or study the Quran. There are many traditions associated with childhood in Egypt, both religious and cultural. Some of these traditions are still widely practiced today, while others are becoming less common. For example, it is common for toddlers to be dressed in traditional clothing, such as galabeya for boys and jalabiya for girls. Toddlers may also be given traditional toys, such as wooden camels or clay animals. These traditions help to shape the identity of Egyptian toddlers and to connect them to their culture. Toddlers in Egypt are not legally required to attend school until they are 6 years old. However, many parents choose to send their children to preschool or kindergarten before that age. Once they start school, Egyptian children typically attend for 6 years of primary school and 3 years of secondary school. Education is important in Egypt, and the government has made great strides in improving access to education in recent years. Circumcision is a common practice among Muslim boys in Egypt. It is usually performed when the boy is between 5 and 11 years old, and a growing percentage even as infants. Preschools in Egypt often follow a traditional curriculum that focuses on basic skills such as literacy, numeracy, and social-emotional development. They may also teach children about Egyptian culture and history. It is common for preschoolers to celebrate religious holidays such as Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr. They may also participate in traditional Egyptian festivals such as the Moulid of al-Nabi. Preschoolers in Egypt may learn about Egyptian culture through stories, songs, and activities. They may also learn about Egyptian history, folklore, and art. Egyptian teenagers sometimes socialize in groups and sometimes one-on-one. Egyptian teens think of peers as friends. The concept of friends is people you know, and usually teens have from 2 to 5 very close friends. Sometimes Egyptian teenagers share money with each other. Borrowing money from friends is not a sensitive issue in Egyptian culture, and the time allowed to repay the debt can be quite lengthy. Egyptian teenagers enjoy meeting in cafes, sports clubs, the cinema, or shopping malls. Although mingling at schools and universities is acceptable, it is not very common for young women and men to go out on their own. Within the family structure, Egyptian men are typically the providers of the family. They can also have more influence on the decision-making of the family. For example, a clerk may approach the man of the family before approaching the female of the family. The notion of honor, sharaf, is a central concept that guides behavior and significantly influences interactions in Egyptian culture. It is deeply intertwined with people's ideas about their personal dignity, karama. Traditionally, a man's honor was determined by his ability to protect the woman in his care. While many cultural ideas of honorable behavior may still be related to patriarchal responsibility, such traditional customs tend to be prevalent only in more rural areas. Although much attention is focused on what women wear in Middle Eastern society, it is important to point out that men also tend to dress modestly. Men almost always wear long pants and long sleeves. Appearing in public in shorts would likely be uncomfortable, and it is socially unacceptable for men to go shirtless in public. The traditional garment for Egyptian men is called a galabiya, and it is a long cotton robe, usually white or pale blue, that comes down to the ankles. It is sometimes seen among poor men in the Old City, but the galabiya tends to be associated with poor, country folk, fellahin, and is usually replaced by pants and a shirt by young men who migrate to Cairo. When it comes to dating and marriage of the children in a family, it's a bit different from Western cultures. Dating isn't as common in Egypt as it is in Western society. In fact, it's actually discouraged in Islam. Additionally, marriages are arranged by two family units. The arrangements are done by the family heads or a matchmaker, but modern Egyptian children are getting more say in their life partner. Typically, the matches between families take several details into account when making matches, such as social class, religion, education, and more. Due to their strong family ties, Egypt is seen as a collectivist society. Individuals in a family unit or even a community work together to raise children. They build loyalties with one another, and their loyalty to family can trump any other regulations or rules. However, this also means that if one person in the family loses face, then they all lose face. When talking about the Egyptian wedding traditions, you'll hear some distinctive terms such as el-shabka and el-mar. What are they? The el-shabka is the jewelry that the groom gives to the bride as a gift. On the other hand, the el-mar is the dowry that the groom gives to the bride's family to buy the furniture of their future home. And because no one can be trusted and not all marriages can be happy ones, Egyptians use the el-kema as a divorce contract to guarantee the bride's rights. This document includes all the items and appliances bought by the bride for her new house. The el-shabka is a set of gold jewelry that the groom gives to the bride as a gift. It is an inseparable part of any wedding ceremony that symbolizes the intertwining love of the couple. In Egypt, the family is important, and not just your immediate family, but your extended family as well. Many generations of Egyptians live together in one family unit. They also live close to their extended family. The children, typically boys of the family, live with parents at least until they marry, and possibly beyond, to take care of their aging parents. The daughter-in-law typically moves in with her in-laws. Frequent gatherings ensure that even extended family stays close. Egyptian workers are as capable as any in the world, but Egyptian office culture does not put a premium, or anything even resembling a premium, on efficiency like Western offices. If your workday officially starts at 9 in the morning, don't be surprised to see many of your coworkers filtering into the office a half hour or 45 minutes later. Support departments such as IT tend to take their time resolving issues, no matter how vitally important you feel the resolution is for the company or your job. Offices are often open, without cubicles, and you will probably find your Egyptian coworkers chatty, if not excessively so. They are usually curious about foreigners that have come to work with them, and will be happy to get to know you, especially if you speak a little Arabic. Most offices have a dedicated staff of waiters, office boys, whose job it is to bring employees coffee, tea, water, soft drinks, and snack food. Depending on the office, the cost of some or all of these items may be included in your salary. Egyptian women work alongside men in most offices, though they are sometimes segregated in a different room from the men. Invariably, some of the co-workers will wear the hijab, the Muslim headscarf that covers the hair in modest clothing. You are unlikely to encounter fully veiled women in the workplace. Certain foods are associated with holidays, especially Ramadan, Eid al-Fitr, and Eid al-Adha. Muslims do not eat pork, so most Egyptian food does not include pork products. Most Egyptians have a light breakfast when they wake up, consisting of tea with bread and honey, hard-boiled eggs, and fruit. Like many other societies in the Mediterranean region, lunch is the main meal of the day, eaten at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Supper is eaten late, around 9 or 10 o'clock, and consists of small mezza dishes or food left over from lunch. A complex meal starts off with mezza, similar to appetizers. Mezza may include hummus, ground chickpeas and sesame seed paste, stuffed grape leaves, tamia, fried patties made with fava beans and spices. If made with chickpeas, it is called falafel, beans, and other light items. The main course usually consists of a meat dish, chicken, beef, or lamb, served with rice and bread. Sometimes, vegetables comprise the main ingredient. The most common are eggplant, squash, or molika, a native Egyptian vegetable similar to okra. One common dish is kushari, a mixture of rice, pasta, lentils, and spicy tomato sauce topped with a hot sauce and fried onions. Another common dish is ful madarmas, or roasted fava beans that are served much like black beans or pinto beans are served with Mexican dishes, in a soup-like broth and eaten with bread. Another institution found throughout the Middle East is the coffee house. Traditionally, coffee houses are visited by men who sit and drink coffee or tea, play backgammon, and smoke the water pipe called shisha in Egypt, but also known as hookah or nargila. The pipe is filled with tobacco that is flavored with honey, apples, mint, or other sweet flavors. The coffee houses have long been a place for discussion, recitation of the Quran, and the telling of tales by storytellers. When radio and television transmissions were first introduced to the region, men would gather at the coffee house to listen to the radio or watch the television. Often, the patrons of each coffee house would contribute towards the purchase of the radio or television, since it was too expensive to own them individually. At present, most Egyptian middle and upper-class families have their own radio and television, but the coffee houses remain popular. Once a person reaches old age in Egypt, it is important to show respect to him, particularly if they are your grandfather. When speaking to an older man, it is polite to use formal titles such as Mr. or Hajj for Muslims who have completed the Hajj pilgrimage. You could address your grandfather as Mr. last name or Hajj first name. It is also common to use terms of respect when addressing older men. You could use terms such as Sidi, my lord, or Saeed, sir, when speaking to your grandfather on the phone. An elderly is usually treated with lots of respect and reverence in Egypt, and his/her experience in life and values are highly valued. While Jada is the standard Arabic term for grandmother in Egypt, people use many other words like Teta, Jida, Gida, Jadati, Gediti, Siti, Bibiti, Nana, Mama Uda, Omi Aluda, Yuma, and many more. Grandmothers are loved and are also treated with utmost respect for their contributions to the family, as well as their experience. Lastly, death. Egyptians tend to bury their dead as soon as possible after death. This is partly so in order for them to avoid embalming the corpse. After all, Islamic beliefs dictate that the relatives should not disturb the body. Moreover, they instruct Muslims to wash the body well and wrap it in a kafan, a special funerary white fabric. The funerary prayers called janazah always take place in a mosque, with an imam being in charge. After the imam finishes the janazah, the men take the body to the mausoleum of the family. Similarly to Islamic traditions around the world, the body has to always face Mecca. It is also not common for Egyptians to use tombstones or other grave markers. In addition to all of that, the official mourning period is 40 days. During this period, loved ones of the deceased have special prayers for the dead soul. Finally, the average cost of a modern Islamic funeral in Egypt varies from $300 to $2,500 US. Egyptian beliefs preach that the soul of the dead visits the grave multiple times. The soul returns firstly on the 3rd day and then consecutively 7, 15, and 40 days after death. Additionally, Egyptians believe that the soul will continue returning every Friday. Connecting that with Islamic beliefs, the spirit of the Prophet also visits the grave in order to smell the aloe plant that is often found next to graves. Moreover, when the soul is not visiting, it is stuck either in the underworld or in heaven. Interestingly, this is a belief shared by both Egyptian Muslims and Copts, a Christian denomination. Egyptians may also visit their local cemetery during celebrations of holy men and women. Traditional religious songs and dhikr, repeated phrases or prayers, often take place during these events. In large-scale celebrations, you could even find food and candy stands, as well as swings and children playing with toys among the tombstones. And that's a wrap on our interactive journey through Egypt. Do let us know which country you'd want us to cover next. Don't forget to show your appreciation by hitting that like button. See ya!